Hello everyone, let's see if we are live. Let's see, we want to see if we can bring Gwen on. Happy New Year everyone who's watching. Hi Heather, lovely to have you here. Okay, let's just see. Got myself today on 2 screens, so oh yeah, who else is here? We're waiting for Gwen so I can add her. Okay, let's just see technical things sorting out. Gwen, are you here? Can you see me? Oh, she's here. We're bringing Gwen.
Hello.
All right. Hello. Hi, Gwen.
Hi, you okay?
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, darling. How are you?
I am very good. How are
I'm
you?
good, yeah. I was doing my little old lady thing. What do I press? I was like that for a minute there. But I'm here. Really happy to be here.
Oh, I am so pleased to have you here. And I can see you are inspiring us with the last bit of Christmas spirit.
I'm making this tree last. Let alone money. No, kidding. Yeah, it's so nice. I love the smell of the pine. So yeah, a couple more days and it'll be gone. So I'm making it last. It's good.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, fantastic. Oh, we have Kat here. We have Heather. That's lovely. We have spread across the UK from what I can see so far. We have Brighton. We have Blackpool, Lytham, St. Anne's. See what else we're getting. I think for everyone who's in the UK today, we are competing tonight, aren't we, with Boris, the Chancellor, who is speaking at this moment. Yeah, so I think we will have lots of people watching afterwards.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we need to know what's going on, don't we?
Well, it's lovely to have you here, Gwen.
Thank you for having me.
And can I just check with Kath and Heather, can you all hear us? Because I have a bit of an echo. Can you just give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay?
If I talk a bit, make sure you can hear me too.
I can hear you fine. The last time I did this though.
Hey, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia. Okay, well, we'll just go on then.
Yeah.
Lovely. So this is my first Facebook Live of 2021. And I am super excited to have Gwen on here because Gwen is an amazing mom, transformational coach, and a Reiki master and meditation teacher. And I am just so pleased that you will chat to us tonight about self-talk and how it can help us feel empowered. Because I know for myself, especially at this moment in time, we can all feel very much disempowered regarding our health, our future, just daily life, restrictions or non-restrictions. So I actually personally am very excited to learn more from you as to how I can, improve even more, feeling empowered and watch myself talk. Because I know when it comes to nutrition, I know what I'm telling myself because I know what I'm doing because I've studied it for so long and I'm doing and living it. But I think in other areas of my personal life, there's always, room for improvement. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work in this arena.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I used to work in IT. I worked in IT for about 20 years as an IT manager. But I say in terms of this spiritual journey, I know it's a bit of a cliche word, but that's what it is. That for me started probably around 15 years ago, I'd say, Christine. At the time, I was going through a divorce, and it was just timely that I was discovering things like the law of attraction and The Secret, which I was just rewatching today, funny enough. Deepak Chopra, and people like that. And their message was really resonating with me. And I just felt more empowered with everything I was going through. I had my daughter, she was young, she was like 8 years old at the time. It just made me realize that I had some power and I could use my thoughts and what I was feeling, and I could sort of change that and change how things were sort of transpiring for me. So that really was the start of my journey into this whole sort of field, and that kind of moved me into life coaching at the time, 2008. But things like Reiki, I didn't really, and even meditation, that was more sort of like 5 years ago that I came fully into that, again for another relationship breakup. I think all of my shifts have come through relationship breakups. And that catapulted me into this field. I wanted to heal really quickly. I wanted to kind of change what was happening for me. And I knew I'd got to the point where I'd moved out of that, what we might call to me consciousness, which is very much what, if you've heard of Michael Beckwith, he has 4 stages of consciousness. And the first one is this to me consciousness, where you're blaming everything and everybody for what's happening to you. And you kind of just feel completely disempowered, exactly what you were saying, like you have no control over anything. Things are just happening to you and you're just moving along at default. And so, yeah, you start to realize when you look at your thoughts and your feelings, and then different spiritual teachers and what they're offering and law of attraction and things like that, and you start to move into what's called by me consciousness, where we take our power back and we start to make those changes and start to manifest the things that we want, really. So yeah, that's kind of been my journey, and that's where I am now. As I said, 5 years ago is when I came into Reiki. And ever since then, I've been doing my self-Reiki and meditation every day and looking at my self-talk, but also being kind to myself as well. Like what we'll learn tonight, so that's a big piece of it too, of our self-talk. So yeah, that's kind of me, really, in a nutshell.
Lovely. So, why is self-talk such an important tool to be mindful of? Especially, I mean, I guess it's any time of our life, of our day, but especially now.
Yeah, I think what we say to ourselves about ourselves can be really mean, can be really disempowering, right? So, we'll sort of say things like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm too fat. We look in the mirror, I'm too ugly, I'm not, who I want to be, I'm not where I want to be. If you make a mistake and what you say to yourself then, oh, I'm so stupid. I've got a whole list of things that we always sort of say. I'm sure people can put things in comments, but you want to get things right, I'm not good enough, all those things that we typically say to ourselves. Because we are the master of us, if that makes sense, it's taken on board by our body and our subconscious as a command. So there's 2 ways to look at it in terms of, you were talking about your health, so our physical health, we have like, I don't know, 100 trillion cells in our body, up to that. Some bacterial cells, but most of them are human cells. And they are all sort of listening and sort of taking information from their environment. So when they're hearing us repeatedly saying things like that, you're not good enough, you're stupid, you're never going to amount to anything, you're not as good as that person, you're not going to get anywhere, it's taking it as true, Christine. It's taking it as true because it's coming from us, the master of ourselves. So it's taking it as a command. And so we're putting ourselves in this kind of stressful state, where our body, our cells don't want to thrive. They want to protect us. They want to freeze, conserve energy. So they're not thriving, they're not repairing, they're not growing, they're not multiplying. So we're causing sort of damage to our health with this negative talk as well. But the bigger, more spiritual picture is our subconscious mind, which I should say, is so, so powerful. And if we don't consciously look to connect to our subconscious, it goes out, again, it thinks everything we say is true. No matter what we say, because we're saying it, it takes it as true. It doesn't sort of sit there and negotiate and analyze and reason. Because we're saying it, it takes it as true. So it takes what it sees in reality, and it's aware of everything, because the subconscious is super powerful. We're probably only consciously aware of 5% of our reality. Subconsciously, there's a lot more going on. But what it does, it takes all that information surrounding us, from our environment, about us, and it distorts it, it kind of twists it, it deletes what isn't relevant. It just basically distorts it so it matches what we believe about ourselves. So then our reality matches that belief. Until we can change that belief and that thought about ourselves, that's what we'll present with. We'll see people that match that and validate that. We'll experience situations that also match what we're thinking about ourselves. And so we're like, oh yes, self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, oh, see, I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I wouldn't make it. I knew I wouldn't get there. So it's really important that we start to put things in place to shift that mode of thought, you know, break that cycle, that pattern of thought, and kind of deactivate those neural pathways in the brain that's been created because we keep firing the same thought about ourselves. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. This isn't for me. And I'm not like them, and all the things that we say to ourselves. So yeah, that's really, we need to kind of get hold of that and shift it and start thinking more empowering thoughts in order then to see a different reality, also experience better health, everything else. So everything is affected by what we're thinking. It's radiating out there and bringing back to us, reflecting back to us what we believe. So that's to change.
I totally hear you. And actually, it's really interesting to hear your approach from the 100 trillion cells, because that's exactly how nutritional healing, which I studied for the last 3 years, has approaches health, because we go from a cellular level and we start to unravel health from that point of view. But obviously, well, very much so on a holistic level. So mental health and self-talk comes into it, but obviously we mainly look at nutrition and how to empower the body to have a strong mind. But yeah, it's super interesting what you're saying. So what are some tools that you can give us tonight that will help us to improve our self-talk?
Yeah, I think I've got 4 things to share. The first one is just by becoming aware of what you're saying or thinking about yourself to yourself. And I think even after listening to this, you'll start to become more aware of that, even as you're going through your evening. And tomorrow, you'll start to realize just how much of your thought is tipped towards the negative side. So that's the first thing. To become aware is to become more conscious, right? So that's kind of what's happening when we do that.
Yes.
The second thing I'd recommend, and quite a simple thing to do, but it kind of takes it out of your head and puts it on a piece of paper so you can actually see that, is to grab a piece of paper or your journal if you like journaling, and just draw a line down the middle, a vertical line down the middle. And then on the left-hand side, just write all the negative things you say to yourself about yourself. So what do you say to yourself when you first wake up in the morning, when you look in the mirror particularly? When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? When things don't go right, what do you say to yourself? End of the day, just generally that you'll have things that you repeat quite often in your mind about yourself. So you're using the left-hand side of the paper just to write all those things down. Then you're going to change all of those on the right-hand side. So you're just going to write the counter statement to each one of those things. And it doesn't have to be super, super extreme. I had a client who, you know, I'd say to her, you know, just maybe try and say, instead of saying, oh, I look awful, you know, when you're looking in the mirror, just say, I love myself, you know, which is something that Louise Hay wants us to do. But she couldn't reach that far. So what she had to settle for, which is absolutely fine, is I'm okay. I'm fine. So it doesn't have to be the super, super extreme. Yeah, you just want to counteract that negative statement that kind of settles everything down a little bit, soothes everything down. You know, I often advise people to start self-soothing themselves and coaching themselves and being their own best friend. So you don't have to go to that extreme. But you're just going to have, so you'll have 2 lists, one with the negative, one with the positive, and you're kind of looking at that daily and reading it. So what's happening there is you're now starting to train your brain. Every time you say the negative, the positive should start to come up. After a few days, the positive will start to come up automatically. And then I would say after about 3 days, 4 days, you can cross out everything on that negative side and just focus on the positive side. So it's a nice way of integrating it and getting your subconscious to sort of accept it. by kind of looking at both initially and then just focusing on that positive. So that's like the first exercise I would sort of ask people to kind of have a look at. But it's very revealing when you start doing it. Oh my God, I do say that about myself. The next thing I would say, I've just touched on anyway, is the mirror work. So Louise Hay from Hay House Publishing, she's passed away now, but a lot of the spiritual books you read, self-help books you read, they're usually published by Hay House. And she was a great sort of person to sort of talk about, self-love and saying, I deeply and completely love and accept myself whenever you looked in the mirror. And we look in the mirror quite frequently, at least twice when we're brushing our teeth and maybe when we're getting ready, doing our hair. So it's a nice time to give yourself a little bit of love and say something positive. That same client I spoke about who had a problem saying, I love myself, and just said, oh, I like myself, you're all right. She basically would take ages to get ready. She just wasn't happy with anything she used to put on, and her boyfriend would be waiting for her downstairs. She'd take ages. And she came back to me after a couple of days of doing this exercise, bit of mirror work. She's like, Gwen, I got ready in 5 minutes the other night. I just couldn't believe it. Just 5 minutes. Yep, fine, you look great. And so it works. It works really quickly. But we need to be able to kind of give that love to ourselves. So that's the second thing, the mirror work, I'd say for sure. That's the third thing, because we've got we've got the dividing your page and doing both of them. Then we've got the mirror work, and then the final thing I'd say would be affirmations, which are statements which you say in the present tense in a positive way about yourself. You put yourself in there. So, instead of saying, I'm rubbish, I can't do this, I'm more than enough, I'm more than capable. I can do what I want to do. I'm trying my best, whatever it might be, but you're just putting a really nice positive statement together, whether it's about and you can divide them up into areas. It could be about your money, your finances, particularly if you say things quite frequently, like I'm broke, I don't have enough, I can't afford this, that's too expensive for me. You need to kind of change that money mindset and release those money blocks a little bit, because your subconscious will bring you back a lack of money. Basically, you will never have enough. So using things like affirmations is a good way, again, to start to create new neural pathways, new beliefs about yourself and the world around you. So that's also, I would say that's the fourth thing I'd recommend, just kind of writing out a list even of 10 things that you'll repeat daily about yourself that you can read. You can put them on your mirror, you can put them on your monitor, you can put them in your phone, you can have them pop up as an alarm that reminds you. So there's several ways to kind of use affirmations. So I would say they're my 4 ways to begin with, to start to change your mindset a little bit around that.
Brilliant. And do you think it matters?
Sorry?
Do you think it matters how we use the affirmations? Should we speak them out loud? Should we write them down? Can we just think them every day? Or what is your recommendation?
I think it's nice to do all of those things, because you're stimulating your subconscious mind even more. The writing down gives you a point of focus. You might want to start by writing them down, but you don't have to write them down every day. I know some people do. But then just reading them, saying them out loud, so that your subconscious and all your cells are hearing your voice. Hearing that sound is quite powerful too. Bringing your body, the emotions into it as well. If you can put a feeling emotion into it, like I'm so happy that I am this now, or whatever it might be. So if you can bring an emotion into it, that's good. If you can bring an action with the body into it, like, yes, I'm great at this, I can do this, I'm brilliant, So all of those things kind of make it really real to your subconscious. And then it starts to kind of warp and weave your reality to sort of match that new belief about you. So no matter how you're doing it, I think it's just important to do it daily and do it regularly, and then catch yourself when you're kind of not doing it, if that makes sense, without being too hard on yourself. You want to soothe that and move to the more positive statement, more positive affirmation. Yeah.
I guess that would work for our children as well, wouldn't it? So we could help them in this current climate. I mean, my children really, especially my 8-year-old, struggled in the first lockdown with not seeing her friends. I think now she's a bit more resilient in that regard, but we do use affirmations with them. But have you got any kind of tips or tricks on that one?
I think particularly with kids, and even us as adults, where kids inside, aren't we? We all have that inner child. I think there is that moment I mentioned right at the beginning where we need to kind of still be kind to ourselves. So if we're feeling a particular way, missing our friends because of lockdown, I think sometimes we don't want to brush it away too quickly. We might want to sit with that a moment and not let it be wrong and let it be okay to feel that way, just kind of soothe it a little bit. And then you can kind of start to sort of say, well, the advantage of this is da 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 da, and you can still do this. And so it's kind of not a fine line, but we need to not jump straight away. Self-talk and self-belief can sometimes be different, particularly if there's a strong emotion behind it. If there's a strong emotion behind it, it's slightly different to our general self-talk, if that makes sense. If I'm just saying, oh my God, I'm rubbish at maths, I can't do this, I'm broke, there may not be a trigger, strong emotion behind that. Whereas if I'm saying, oh my God, I feel so depressed, I have no money, and I'm feeling that in my gut, in my solar plexus, we need to kind of acknowledge that emotion is there before running away from it. If that makes sense, we need to kind of sit with it a little bit and say, okay, it's okay to feel like this is going on, it makes sense. And then you start shifting yourself out of it. But then, you were able to get through it last time, and you're just going through a down patch or whatever it might be. So that's a different kind of, that's a more of a self-soothing process, which acknowledges that emotion as a part of you rather than dismissing it and running away from it, which means it just stays in, it gets a bit stronger. If that makes sense, and something else triggers it and it ends up being this big explosion, dramatic affair that it doesn't need to be. So, slightly, I hope I haven't confused everyone by saying that, but I think it's slightly different. There's a really, really strong emotion behind something, then you need to sort of tend to that first and then start to move yourself away, well, not move yourself away, but soothe yourself to a more positive thought. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what is it that you offer that maybe the viewers tonight could join in? Because I know you do meditation classes, free ones, and even corporate ones. So is there anything that you could tell us about what you're doing that people could join in?
Yeah, at the moment, lockdown has put a hold on some of the, because I teach Reiki as well as a Reiki master, and that's sort of on hold at the moment, but they're on my website as well. The tools section. Did we break up there? Are we okay? Can you hear me?
I think we broke up, but we're back.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, so people can go to my website, myspiritualbutterfly.com/free tools. There's some free content there. I do a lot of videos, meditation videos that they can have a little look at as well, particularly for calming anxiety. And there's some law of attraction videos there too. I think I've given you the link to a freebie that I have. So if you want to get an idea of different affirmations, I've created a free PDF which gives you 50 affirmations across your career, money, relationships, life in general, and health. So there's 10 each for that. So hopefully they can kind of grab that and download that and start using those as well. So they're the main things. I do run a program called Heal Your Heart and Thrive, and that's due to start probably in February, and there's a waiting list sort of going on for that. So if you wanted to join the wait list, then you can just drop me a quick email, gwen@myspiritualbutterfly.com. So yeah, they're the main things kind of going on right now.
Brilliant, that sounds a lot. And I've read through all of your 50 affirmations and I love them. So I can only highly recommend them.
Yeah, for sure. I can see it. Does anyone else have any?
I've read through all of your 50 affirmations and I love them. So I can only highly recommend them.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have a question from Maria. Can you see it, Gwen?
I can see it, yeah. How long would you recommend this practice to see results? They say to change the habit of thought It used to be 30 days, and now it's more like, people say more like 40 to 60 days. We've got a bit of an echo going on.
I wonder why.
Yeah, we've got a bit of an echo going on, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, for me, I use affirmations every day, because you're always like starting again every day, if that makes sense. And we go through life, we have work, we have a lot of things coming at us that aren't maybe so positive in the news. So it's nice to do your affirmations on a daily. But if you're looking for something to focus on, then you might want to repeat those affirmations at least 40 days or so.
That is very bizarre. I'm not even saying anything, and I can hear myself.
The gremlins are here.
The gremlins are here, yeah, challenging me again on one of my Facebook lives.
I hope that answered your question, Maria. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, my darling. It's so good we're getting it twice.
Oh dear, oh dear. Let me see. The gremlins are truly here. They're moving in.
Oh, bless you. Anyone have any more questions? Or difficult with the echo, the feedback? What's my daily routine for positivity? Wow. Wow. Okay, so my routine is about an hour long in the morning. So I do a meditation, and then I do self-reflection, and then I do my journaling, and my journaling is about setting my intentions for the day, and usually a powerful affirmation for the day. And then finally, like 10 minutes of some kind of exercise, yoga or a HIIT workout, and then I'm done.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gwen. I think we're going to wrap it up now and send the gremlins to bed.
Yes, definitely. Oh, bless you.
Thank you, everyone who's come to watch. Thank everyone who's going to stick with us in the replay. And thank you so much, Gwen. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. And I've really learned something, so I've loved it. Thank you so much.
My darling, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Sorry about the great.
Thank you, and good night.
Good night. Thank you, my darling.
Namaste. Good night.